Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at @Haggerty10 Twitter handle, as you all know by now. And I'm joined today on Wednesday, December the 28th, by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Morning, Tony. Not bad. You have a good Christmas?
I did indeed, yes. Yourself? Do you have a good one?
Aye, good one. Aye, quite quiet, but hope you all have a good one as well.
Yes, indeed. Probably hear my dogs in the background there. Dear, oh dear. But hey, there you have it.
Fighting over who gets to get in the new kitchen first, are they?
I think that's exactly what it is, Sean. Indeed. Now, good morning, everybody. And as we do every day, we'll just draw your attention to the strap line at the bottom of the page. And you know what we're going to say. Subscribe to the Celtic Way. We've always got a deal on for you. And this is December. Merry Christmas deal. We support top quality journalism covering the club you love. And you can do that one of two ways if you subscribe. It's £1 for 2 months of full access to everything that's written on the website. You find all sorts of wonderful stuff there. Or you can enjoy 25% off the yearly price, which takes that down to 26 quid. And all you have to do is hit a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. All sorts of wonderful stuff on there, as I've said, Sean, isn't there?
There is, Tony. Sorry, I had myself on mute there a wee bit to let you go. Of course, there is up there the day our predicted 11s, which you'll get a wee spoiler alert for in here because I've got the slides to put up for when we're talking about who should play and who might not play, all that kind of stuff. But that's up, and shortly we'll come to this later on. But shortly, I will be processing Stuart Ross's latest scout report on Iwata, so that'll be up shortly. That'll be up before lunchtime, I'm hoping.
Excellent. Now, Sean, Celtic travel to Edinburgh tonight to take on Hibs at Easter Road.
Mm-hmm.
They're hopeful that they'll still remain at least 9 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premier, on top of the Scottish Premiership table.
Yep.
Now, we've put our predicted 11s up, but after Saturday's 4-1, convincing 4-1 win over St Johnstone, we never got to hear what you actually thought of that because you were were missing from the briefing yesterday. But I mean, I guess like myself and Aidan, good job, well done. Tick the result box, tick the performance box, back in the domestic saddle, basically.
Aye, that's exactly it. In terms of the performance, I thought they were far more clinical. They took shots from closer in. I think you can tell they listened to him when he said that there wasn't enough presence in the box because all 4 goals came in the box and 3 of them were in the 6-yard area alone. So they definitely listened. They just had a wee bit more purpose about them. I don't know if it's just because it was also Parkhead again and stuff.
Yeah.
Real Hatate at right back took us by surprise when the lineups came out. There was quite a lot of talk about Aaron Moy playing right back. I just didn't see that. I messaged you right away and said, surely it's got to be Hatate with the way that lineup's given there. Didn't expect him to play as well as that. I thought, right, well, it makes sense, I suppose, when you think about it. Slightly disappointed they didn't give one of the youngsters a nod, given they had no game before it, no game until the 30th after it. And as I said in the build-up with you, if not when there's no right backs available, when is our young right back going to get a chance? So disappointed with that, I'm not going to lie. That pathway still doesn't seem to be there. But when Real Hatate comes in, scores 2 goals from right back and gets man of the match, you can't really say much more than that. The question is, does he continue there?
Yes, well, he does in my team.
He does not in my team.
Well, there you go.
Only because I've taken a punt, to be honest, Tony. Only because
on Ralston being fit.
I think if just because we don't know. And the last comment Ange Postecoglou said on him was, you know what Tony's like.
Yeah.
So I've taken that and ran with
it. Listen, I just thought that it wasn't particularly broke. On Saturday, they played really well, and just give time for guys like Ralston and Uranovic to declare themselves fully fit. So that was just my thought process behind that. But hey, you know what he's like. The manager likes to keep you on your toes at all times, doesn't he? So I'm sure he was very cagey about Ralston, wasn't he? But then just threw that wee kind of line in at the end, as if to say all will be revealed type thing, wasn't it?
Aye, good to put us up, Happy Suicide. We love the show every day. First time now we'll be able to watch you live. Happy to have you. Yep.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
Always good.
That's a nice compliment. Indeed. I hope you had a good Christmas and you're looking forward to the new year and what that brings. Now, Sean, job done on Saturday. I guess it's just a question of the same, isn't it? If they can bring that performance to the table and that number of goals as well and chances they created, they were quite exciting to watch on Saturday and played some scintillating stuff at times. So I guess a repeat of that to go to Ibrox in as confident a mood as possible. The manager will take that all day long, won't he?
Aye, that's what we'll be looking for. The manner in which they not just finished their chances, because the chances were coming anyway. It was more the perception that they weren't finishing them.
Yes.
The easy chances, if you know what I mean. Even though, as I said, against Livy, Cho Gue scored the best chance of the game he got. He scored it. So I think it kind of changes perception when you get 2 goals when it comes to Cho Gue anyway. But he was already actually doing all right. He was already statistically up there. I think the fact that I was going to say it was a midfielder that scored, but it wasn't. It was a right back that scored, really. But nonetheless, the amount of midfield bodies that were getting into the box will have pleased them. The manner in which they scored the goals, as I said, all 4 were in the box, but 3 were in the 6-yard box, and the way that they were cut back, it was the ideal kind of scenario for Ange Postecoglou. So more of that, and kind of keeping up the confidence, keeping up the momentum before this derby in January the 2nd will be key. But Hibs away is a hard game. And I know Hibs aren't playing particularly well. They won 4-0 against Livingston in their last game, but that was their first win in 9, I think. Or first win in 8. Two wins in the last 9 with 7 losses. They've not been winning games. They just can't get that over the line under Lee Johnson. And they're one of the teams, you remember when we were talking about Aberdeen last week?
Yes.
They kind of abandoned the way they play because they are one of the only teams out with Celtic and Rangers that enjoy more of the ball than they do off it. Hibs are the other team. Hibs are the only other team. And even this season, they're averaging nearly 59% possession. So they do enjoy having the ball. They won't have it. They won't have it much. So it's how they adapt to that and how they decide to play. They've been switching between a back 3 and a back 4 all season. Obviously, neither has been particularly fruitful so far. But they've went back 4 in the 2 games since returning. 3-2 defeat to Rangers and then the 4-0 against Livy. So I'm intrigued to see what shape they go with, but also the way in which they try and play the game. Because Lee Johnson's mentioned about you're not playing the history of the club, you're not playing anything other than the 11 bodies in front of you, which is easier said than done, I think, a lot of the time when it's Celtic and when it's a team with an identity in general. It's easy to say that. So I'm intrigued to see what way they play it as much as anything else.
Ange Postecoglou referenced them, didn't he? Saying that he's trying to bring a style and identity to Hibs and, judge him on another couple of transfer windows, I think he was saying. Yeah. He maybe doesn't have the players there to actually execute it just yet, but he's on the right track. So I think that was decent praise from Ange, wasn't it?
The thing is, with Lee Johnson saying you're not playing the history, the recent history for Hibs at Easter Road against Celtic's actually all right.
Pretty good, yeah.
Celtic lost in December 2018, and they're unbeaten in 15 in all competitions against Hibs since that loss, right? But at Easter Road, since that result, they've played 7. They've won 2, but they've drawn the other 5, including the last one, which was 0-0. So, as much as Lee Johnson's saying don't look at the history, all that kind of stuff, the recent history for Hibs at Easter Road's actually all right. So, it's not to be taken for granted tonight that just because Hibs aren't playing well, that Celtic will run over the top of them. I think it's a difficult game.
I hope it's not 0-0 again, Sean, because I risk getting the mate patter from the man that matters. Don't want that. But yeah, that was a...
You'll be there, of course, Tony, so you will be getting it.
We'll be there, yep. So we'll
fully loaded if it's not.
Fully loaded, yeah. If it doesn't go Celtic's way, indeed. They just bristled at my question. I thought Celtic were a bit flat, but hey, your opinion, aren't they? So there you go.
I don't know if you're allowed an opinion.
Well, he shot me down, so it was fair enough. That was, but it was all squared up after it. The foy bit, but that was neither here nor there. But yes, indeed. Now, do you want to have a look at our lineups?
Why not?
See what the viewers...
Put yours up first, I think. That's yours. So you, Tony, Hatate obviously right back. I presume you're just going on the basis Ralston maybe won't make it.
Yes.
I said I went on the basis that because of the way that he said that, you know what Tony's like, I'm thinking right? He might be fit, and if he's fit, that brings up the question of what happens to the midfield, because Hatate was man of the match from right back, but Moy had a really good game, I thought.
Yeah.
So what happens there? In the end, I've went with Hatate back to the kind of first choice midfield three, which is harsh on Moy, because I really do think he looked leaner, he looked more willing to play the dangerous passes against St Johnstone. I thought he had a good game, so it would be harsh on him if that's the case. But the Hatate thing, I think I've no worries if it is him playing right back. I think he played really well. I think the way that Celtic play with the ball would suit him anyway. I think he would do the job fine. If Ralston's fit, I think you move him back into midfield.
I've kept everybody in situ except James Forrest. I've rotated James Forrest. I thought Maida did very well on the left wing on Saturday. Thought he was excellent. What he contributed for the 60-odd minutes that he was on, both him and Forrest. Large part of why Celtic were successful and scored the goals, as you say, cutbacks along the 6-yard box. They were involved in a lot of that good play. And I brought in Jota because I think you'll want Jota to... I think you'll want Jota to play at Ibrox, won't he? So I think you'll feel you'll want him to play in this one and then give him a run out before Ibrox. So that was just my thinking behind that. And Kyogo starts up front for the minute because he's, as you've seen yesterday, he's kind of, for a man that's off the boil, he's just gone top of the goal scoring chart. So that's all.
I said that in the power rankings entry. It was like when you think he's supposedly off the boil, when you look at all the stats and stuff, even just the raw stats of goals and stuff, but underlying stats as well, you're like, well, if this is him off the boil, fair play. I'll take that. But no, it's for me, the difference, apart from Hatate, which obviously led to the Moy difference, for me was I did keep Maida, but rather than Jota, I've taken Abada. On the basis that James Forrest, first of all, hasn't started 2 competitive games in a row this season, and I just don't necessarily think that ends here. I think he will drop out. The reason I've taken Abada is that I really do think he was unlucky not to get the start against St Johnstone, given the performances he'd put in against Aberdeen and Livingston. Ange Postecoglou said as much, that he was really unlucky. It was just because of the time between the games and different things that he wanted to rotate. Now, the counter argument to that is, are you really not going to start Jota 2 games in a row? But with Rangers on the horizon, that's the big one. So you're probably right, to be honest, Tony. But I've went with Abada just on the basis that I do think he was unlucky. And then with the Maida one, it's just the fact that I think if he thinks Hibs are going to slightly come out a wee bit more than most teams, like he thought Aberdeen were going to do, and he started Maida that day for that reason as well, as there might be a wee bit more space in behind that Maida will exploit. So I've went with that for that reason. But there's every chance I'm wrong, because Jota not starting 2 games in a row is criminal, probably.
But also as well, Sean, if he's thinking Abada turns up for Rangers games, doesn't he?
He does,
so he maybe it's kind of toss up between those two as to who occupies that berth, I think. So I wouldn't, I'm not perturbed if either or start, I've got to be honest. But I would just like to see a wee bit more from Jota if it's him before the Rangers game. Abada, you can hang your hat in Abada doing something in the Rangers game if he plays. So it's one of those ones, isn't it? But yeah, that was both our logic and our thinking behind it. Guys, get your teams in the comment section. Let us know who you would play tonight. But I've got to be honest, Sean, I'm not really perturbed at who gets rotated, because I think on Saturday we showed that there's a real depth still and quality of squad there.
Now, this comment is interesting. Antonio's saying Cameron Carter-Vickers is 1 card away from a 1-match suspension, and he says he would put Yents in and save Carter-Vickers for the derby. Do you agree with that? Because he is on 4 yellow cards first and foremost. He's correct. He's on 4 yellow cards, but can you possibly not play him?
I don't think so, and I don't think the manager will see it that way, will he? I've got to be honest. I think the manager's a strong team as possible, if he can, kind of guy, So I think the need for what if he rotates Cameron Carter-Vickers and Celtic lose?
Well,
1-0, something like that, or whatever, And Nisbet's back, isn't he? Kevin Nisbet's back for Hibs.
Kevin Nisbet's back, aye.
Potent
At least
threat.
he's available.
So I just think you've got to play your strongest possible team, get the job done, and worry about the outcome of those kind of things later. He's pretty solid and rugged, and he doesn't usually get involved. But I'm quite puzzled as to why he's got those 4 yellow cards. I'm trying to understand where they were and why.
I can tell you, right, I can't remember all the incidents right enough, but there was one in the first derby, one against St Johnstone away, one against Livingston away, and then one St Johnstone just there.
I remember the Livingston away one because he had a right tussle with
Joel Newbley, was it?
Newbley, yeah. So I can remember that one. So that was a game in my head that sprung to mind. The others escaped me, but the Newbley one, the game at Livingston, I remember that because that was a ding dong, and I actually quite enjoyed watching that because the two of them just went at it. Well, there's Neil Reid saying he agrees with me that you've got to play him at. What's your thoughts, Sean? Would you play him?
Aye, I mean, the thing is, booking's a part and parcel of the game.
Yeah,
you can't have. I don't think he's the kind of guy that it would affect his performance because he's quite calm at the best of times.
Yes.
So I don't think he'll be getting thinking, "Oh no, I can't do this, can't do that," because he is a physical player, but he's not a dirty player. So he's not really. It's not really in his makeup to get booked a lot. I know he's obviously got the 4 yellow cards, and anything can happen in any given day. But to start juggling your team about to kind of avoid a booking.
Well,
I don't necessarily think it's in as Postecoglou's makeup either. So,
and I don't think you can plant that seed into a player's head, try and not get involved and try and not, because then that's it. They're gone, aren't they? Head's gone. He's not
Mario Balotelli. You've heard the Jose Mourinho story about him coming out from half time, coming in from half time on a boot and saying, "Listen, we really need you to keep your head in the second half." Setting off in the 47th minute, like that kind of thing. It's not going to happen. Touch wood with Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's not that type of player. A booking can happen at any point, but I would be very, very surprised if it was anything daft. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, correct. So for me, he plays. So and then what will be, as the famous song says, and see what happens tonight against Hibs. But I think Celtic go there, Sean, in fairly confident and relaxed mood, and if they can bring their brand of football to Easter Road, which they did before, a memorable game from last season when they were 3 up in jig time, ended up winning 3-1, but they were terrific that night, weren't they? A repeat of that performance would warm the cockles of the Celtic supporters' hearts on a cold December night.
Exactly, aye. I think there'll be a decent travelling contingent still. That wee nice wee bit between Christmas and New Year for a lot of people. They'll be heading through to Leith. But I've got to say, this has reinforced my selection and your selection of Maida. I think Slater Alligator saying as long as we have at least one bald guy on the pitch at all times, we'll be fine. So that's it. Maida's got to start.
It has to start, Sean. Yep, indeed, your solidarity there with Maida.
Yes.
Solidarnosc and all that, yes, indeed.
The guy with the best haircut in Scottish football. Taking over from Scott Brown, of course.
Makes you both more aerodynamic, Sean, I think is the phrase, isn't it? Yeah. Never so people say, but there you go. Now, Sean, another thing that has come to our attention, it is the season coming up for transfers et al., but there's a South Korean agency, and I'll try and say this, Kuki Shinbun have said...
Daily newspaper.
Daily newspaper, yes. Hope the pronunciation's right. Somebody will let me know if that was right, but had a good stab at it anyway. Now, they are saying that Celtic are favourites to land Cho, the World Cup final striker for Korea. South Korea, people have been watching the World Cup, and he's kind of valued at 2.2 million. But they're saying Celtic are the favourites, and he currently plays for Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. But I mean, we were on the ball. We did a scouting report already. Stuart Ross has already done that, and you're going to flag that up again. And if you want to go and have a read at that, you'll see what attributes he brings to the table. But does that say to you that these kind of reports that someone's going out the door, and we know who that someone is, or does that move it on slightly, or is it just kind of reinforcing kind of what we already know, that Celtic are in the mix, but we don't know how far down the line this is?
I think it's probably the latter. Just given the way the report, based on Translate anyway, said Celtic, along with the likes of Fenerbahce and stuff that were interested. It wasn't like Celtic are imminent. A move to Glasgow's coming. It wasn't that quite that far. So I think it's the latter. But nonetheless, we've still got the scouting report there. Stuart done that one. It was like a comparison with someone else, Saeed Hamulix. It was getting linked with Celtic at that point. But there's plenty about Cho himself in there, and obviously you'll have seen him at the World Cup and different things. And Stuart does a good job of that. And as I say, he'll have the Iwata scout report up before lunchtime as well, which will be typical Stuart deep dive right into the guy. So I think you're on mute, Tony.
But yes, I look forward to reading that. Yeah, indeed, that'll be a good day of Iwata one. But I think, I'm always not sceptical, but I always, when someone say, "Oh, such and such are favourites to land this," you always feel they've been trumped by a last minute bid. It's like a horse coming up the rail, isn't it? So until they are signed, sealed, and delivered, I always kind of try and read between the lines, connect dots, and I would take from that maybe Celtic are still in the mix for them and see what happens in the fullness of time once January opens. But it's always on these things, it kind of leads to speculation, doesn't it? The speculation being about Georges Giacomakis and stuff like that. And I know John Hartson was on a radio station saying there has to be some kind of resolution to this, Sean, but which is something that I wrote a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Or certainly recently.
A couple of weeks ago now,
yeah, so I just hope there is a resolution, and I'm sure the manager will be across all these issues, and Michael Nicholson as well, and they will be sorted. But I mean, a lot of Celtic supporters would like to see Cho sign, Sean. From what glimpses you've got of him, do you think he would be worthwhile addition?
I don't see why not, to be honest. But as I keep saying with a striker, if you sign any striker just now with Kyogo and Giacomakis, let's say even Giacomakis was to leave, you need a striker to come in that's better than Kyogo. Otherwise, it's going to be the same situation for me.
Sure.
Maybe slightly more rotation, but even that, it's probably going to be the same situation you're in. So you need somebody that's actively better, which will potentially be quite hard to get, despite the kind of criticism or the critique of Kyogo's form this season. It's quite difficult to find, I suppose, someone who is going to tick every single box that Kyogo doesn't, which isn't a lot, to be honest. So I think it needs to be that. I don't know if Cho's that guy or not until you get here. Sometimes it's about how you settle as well.
Indeed, I agree with that, Sean. I agree with that wholeheartedly, that they need somebody better. If someone, Antonius Varai says that. Well said, Sean. Now, Sean, that leads us on to the topic that has been going through the World Cup finals as well, and Josip Uranovic.
Yep.
Now, reports that Chelsea are reputedly lining up. It's always lining up, or are preparing a bid. But the conflicting reports here, Sean, isn't there, about there's a wide rumour saying that he has a release clause, but nobody has written that as fact, have they?
No, the Daily Mail report that it seems to be taken from, it says in that Chelsea might only have to bid as little as 8 million. It doesn't really give a reason for why that would be. It certainly doesn't mention a release clause. So I suppose we'll need to just wait and see if that is something that crops up, but it seems to have just cropped up now, basically. And so far as I can see, there isn't a mention of a release clause in the Daily Mail report, just that I think because it's such a low figure, that's maybe a presumption. But certainly that report just says that it's understood Chelsea might have to bid as little as 8 million, rather than the reason that would be is because there's a release clause, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean the two words release clause have just came from left field, haven't they?
I think so. I mean, I can't see anywhere else saying it. So
if Uranovic had a release clause, surely everybody would be well aware of that by now.
Well, I'd have thought friend of the show, Fabrizio Romano, who has tweeted extensively about Uranovic, would have mentioned at some point that would be a factor. And as Patrick says here, it is unlike Celtic to have a release clause, because the whole point of signing people is to sell them for max value, and if you put a figure on it, then you're potentially not getting max value. So we'll see. As I say, I'm not going to say it's definitely not, because it seems to be creeping up from somewhere, but definitely off the back of that Daily Mail report, that isn't mentioned in it at all. So we'll just need to see. But disappointed if it is, because 8 million, there was a time you might think, well, 27-year-old right back, all right, he's an international, but has he properly hit the heights at Celtic? Probably not. 8 million might be all right, even though you'd still be a bit disappointed in it. But after that World Cup as well, it would be a sickener, really, 8 million.
Yeah.
Tony, it would be a total sickener. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, and it is just kind of a presumption that people are making off the back of the 8 million being a lot lower than what people were thinking Chelsea would bid, that kind of thing. So, but we'll just need to watch this space with that one, I think, because there's no answer there so far.
January's going to be a busy month, Sean. Maybe incomings and outgoings and toing and throwing. We'll see how it all pans out. But okay, Sean, we've got to 26 minutes nearly. It's that time, isn't it? Prediction time, scoreline time.
Okay.
We were both to roll out on Saturday.
Aye, what was it you said again?
I said 3-1.
3-1, I said 4-0.
Yeah.
Aye. We'll split the difference. We each get a Twix. You go first, because I went first last time. So you can go first this time. I've not asked Aidan for his, so
I'll go first. I shall say 3-0, Sean.
3-0
to Celtic, yes.
Well, I'll break the habit of a lifetime and go conservative. I'll go 2-0.
2-0.
Although I'm getting increasingly wary about taking clean sheets, to be honest.
Yeah, well,
but I was thinking about that, same as Helen. I was thinking of 2-1, but I'll go with the clean sheet. And also, I've just realised, because I was kind of, I don't know if you noticed, but I was kind of quietly trying to Google things in the background because it wasn't sitting right when we were talking about the 5 bookings. We are wrong. He's not 1 booking away from a suspension, because it's 6 bookings now you need.
Right, okay.
6 bookings in the 1 competition, and he's on 4, so he should be fine. And I double-checked that with a case study there quickly with Melker Hallberg of St Johnstone, because he's doing in the suspension list, and it was on the 12th of November, and the 12th of November was when he got his 6th yellow card. So we're fine, really. Carter Vickers will be playing. He's not in danger of a suspension, all that kind of stuff. So for that reason as well, I'll go clean sheet.
Well done for doing that on the job, as they say. I was under the impression that it was 6 bookings as well. That kind of threw me a wee bit, but about other people's knowledge therein at times. So I thought it was always 6 bookings in the 1 competitions, because of the totting up procedure then, isn't it?
Aye, I must admit, I didn't realise it was 6. I thought it was 5, so I kind of took that at face value. But then it was when a couple of comments, it was actually Beach Boys saying he thought it never get enacted until a certain amount of time, a week or so after the last booking. And I thought, I'm going to need to check this, because we're talking about it and I'm not entirely sure. So I checked it, and it's 6 bookings. So he should be fine regardless. Obviously now Touchwood, he doesn't get a red card.
Oh, no. No, you should not have said those words. Speaking of that, I'll just ask you your opinion on the Turnbull red card.
Aye.
Myself and Aidan, kind of in hindsight, at the time I thought it might have been harshly done by, but I've seen a few.
Tony, in hindsight, in the group, you were not very happy. Not very happy in that group chat.
I'd only viewed it the once from the angle that it showed you, but then I saw a lot of pictures, and I conceded that his boot was very high, and it was dangerous, and it was reckless. So
my own opinion on it was, at first I was thinking, well, he's obviously had no intent to play the man. He's went for the ball, but at the same time, why are you going with your foot? Go with your head. It's a cross. It's a high cross. I don't know what came into his head to go with foot rather than head, but it was dangerous play. So I don't think he can have many complaints. What he can have complaints about is the fact that the referee saw it, never deemed it a straight red, get flagged. It took ages again, all that kind of thing. I think that was kind of the smile when he was walking off. I think that was just the length of time it took. He must have thought, well, if you're going to flag it up, I know what's coming here, just tell me, like that kind of thing. And then as Postecoglou after it mentioned the fact about his about his intent and that he was going for the ball, but ultimately I don't think he had many complaints either. Pictures can make it look worse than what it was, but you can't really complain, I don't think. Disappointed for Turnbull because I keep thinking he's due a wee bit more game time than what he's getting, and the only time he's going to need to do an Abada, basically. He's going to need to do an Abada where he comes on and he makes himself unignorable for the next game. And now that's him robbed of that for a wee while again. We'll need to see. We'll need to see.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow, Sean, to talk about it all. And we'll pour over all the incidents. Hopefully VAR's not mentioned, Sean.
Hopefully not, but I don't know how much hope. At some point tonight, I'll be typing the 3 letters.
Yes, indeed.
And then the 4 letters, IFAB.
Yes, correct. But I'll just, again, draw your attention to the deal that we've got going, the ticker tape running along the bottom. Subscribe to the Celtic Way and support top quality journalism covering the club you love. 2 deals for you. The Merry Christmas December deal. It's £1 for 2 months of full access to everything that's written on the website, or 25% off the yearly price, which takes that to an excellent 26 quid. So all you have to do is hit a button and you can join us. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Sean, thanks very much for your contribution. First class. Thanks to commenters as well. We hope you enjoy a wonderful Wednesday, result permitting, of course. Celtic head to Easter Road, hoping to stay at least 9 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. We'll dissect it all tomorrow, guys. See you then.
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, guys.